Welcome viewers to Bodhi Unified Flow. Here we simplify complexity and amplify performance. Today we're diving straight into the core engine of project reliability with a focused look at the last planner system foundations, specifically part 2, the 5 conversations: should, can, will, did, and learn. If you've ever dealt with highly variable, chaotic construction schedules, you already know exactly how critical it is to establish a predictable workflow. So let's unpack the precise conversations that make that predictability actually happen.
Here's our quick agenda for today. First, our learning objectives. Second, LPS fundamentals. Then we're going to break down the 5 conversations, starting with should and can, then moving into the execution phase of will, did, and learn, before wrapping it all up with a summary and our references. All right, Section 1, Learning Objectives. Let's take a look at what you will gain from this session. By the end of this explainer, we're going to completely demystify the LPS 5 conversations funnel for you. You'll understand the crucial shift from traditional push management to pull scheduling, and most importantly, you'll learn exactly how to take those wildly variable, unpredictable construction schedules and transform them into highly reliable, predictable workflows. It's a real game changer. Moving right along to Section 2, LPS Fundamentals. This is all about moving from guessing to promising. Okay, so before we get into the conversations, we absolutely have to define who the last planner actually is. The entire framework completely relies on empowering this person. Listen, this isn't some project manager sitting in a distant office. This is the person closest to the actual execution of the work. We're talking about a trade foreman, a site superintendent, maybe a design lead. The absolutely vital part here is that this individual has the real-world authority to assign resources and make binding promises. They are your frontline experts, and their reliable commitments, well, they form the absolute bedrock of your entire project schedule. You know, if you've ever felt like a schedule was built purely on wishful thinking, you've definitely experienced a push system. Push relies heavily on top-down guessing. It's basically scheduling work in a vacuum without knowing what's actually happening on the ground. LPS, on the other hand, is a pull system. It's built entirely on collaborative commitment. So instead of pushing completions onto the project and crossing your fingers, teams pull resources into play, detailing schedules based on actual, real-time readiness. And that fundamentally stabilizes your production flow. As founders Glenn Ballard and Greg Howell put it, the last planner is essentially a production control mechanism. Think of it like a massive filter. Its primary job is to transform what should be done into what can be done. By doing this, you're building a true constraint-free inventory of ready work. It practically guarantees that when a task is scheduled, there is literally nothing standing in its way. And we can visualize this transformation as a logical funnel, a step-by-step flow of 5 essential conversations: should, can, will, did, and learn. It's a brilliantly open-ended architecture that aligns your big project goals with your frontline capabilities. So let's see how this builds, starting right at the very top. Let's dive into Section 3, Conversation 1, Should, which focuses on milestone and phase planning. In the should conversation, teams sit down and establish the overarching project goals needed to meet client needs. This is essentially your master scheduling. But then we take it a step further into phase or pull planning. This is where the team actively works backward from those milestones. They define the exact sequence of tasks, how long they'll take, and, this is huge, the critical handoffs and conditions of satisfaction between different processes. You are literally defining exactly what should happen for the project to succeed. Section 4 brings us to Conversation 2, Can. This is look ahead and make ready planning. Now, the crucial shift here is moving to an operational horizon. Planners typically look 4 to 12 weeks, often roughly 6 weeks into the future. The goal isn't just to stare at the schedule, it's to guarantee the work is genuinely ready to be performed before it ever reaches the frontline workers. We are actively breaking down tasks and proactively preparing the ground. So how exactly do we do that? Well, through rigorous constraint analysis. In the can conversation, the team hunts down and removes roadblocks. These constraints could be physical materials, like, say, missing deliveries. They could be information bottlenecks, such as pending RFIs or uncoordinated designs, or they might be administrative hurdles, like a lack of permits. Work is only ever allowed to move forward into the weekly plan if all these preconditions are fully met. No exceptions. On to Section 5, Will, Did, and Learn. Here we cover execution, tracking, and continuous improvement. All right, the will conversation is where the rubber finally meets the road, and this happens through weekly work planning. Here, last planners make specific, highly reliable commitments about what they will finish this week.
But wait, it's not just a technical checklist. As the research points out, this phase is heavily driven by social conversations. Participants are making these commitments in public, face-to-face with their peers. They are staking their professional reputations on their ability to deliver. That healthy peer pressure and mutual trust, that's exactly what builds a reliable workflow downstream.
Next up, to make sure those weekly promises actually stay on track, we roll right into the did conversation. This usually takes the form of daily huddles or quick stand-up meetings out in the field. It's a rapid, real-time reality check to manage those daily commitments and track what actually got done, ensuring everyone is aligned and any immediate issues bubble up to the surface instantly. Finally, we hit the learn conversation, which is our essential feedback loop. Here, we calculate a metric called percent plan complete, or PPC, just to measure our planning reliability. Now, when a promise isn't met and it happens, the team conducts a variance analysis, often using techniques like the 5 whys. Crucially, though, the cultural focus here is entirely on finding the root causes of variability in the system. It is never about blaming individuals. The ultimate goal is just to prevent future reoccurrences and eliminate that awful waiting waste. By constantly asking this one specific question, why did variances occur, and how can we prevent future interruptions? At the end of every single planning cycle, the team fosters a dynamic environment of rapid learning. This continuous improvement mindset allows for experimentation and ensures that your whole system gets smarter and more reliable week after week.
Section 6, Summary and References. Let's wrap up this LPS framework.
Let's do a quick recap. Today, we've successfully mapped that vital transition from top-down, guessing-based push scheduling over to a collaborative LPS pull system. We've explored the 5-tier logic funnel, starting with what we should do, filtering it to what we can do by systematically removing constraints, committing to what we will do, tracking what we actually did, and taking the time to learn from the variances. And we highlighted how constraint removal, combined with tracking PPC, directly drives a highly predictable, reliable workflow. Now, the concepts we discussed today are grounded in literally decades of rigorous construction management research. For professionals looking to really deepen their expertise, these foundational papers, specifically the works of Ballard, Howell, McComber, Gonzalez, and Mosman, are the essential resources we drew upon for today's explainer. I'm going to leave you with this final provocative thought. Take a hard look at your current projects and ask yourself, are your schedules built on hopeful guessing, or are they built on reliable promises? Adopting the last planner system ensures it's for sure the latter. Thank you so much for joining us at Bodhi Unified Flow. We hope you gained immense value from this session, and we look forward to helping you simplify complexity and elevate the performance of your next project.